Hello again everyone, and welcome back to my first video of the new year. I am currently here at Doolittle Station. It is January the 12th, and I came back here to work on the layouts a little bit and also brought some of my own models along to have a bit of a play. But I decided I'd make this video basically just showing you all the layouts here, what the status is on them, and maybe talk a little bit about other plans for these layouts, getting things working and such. So hopefully it'll be an interesting video and you'll all enjoy. Starting on the lower level and with what I would call the elephant in the room, we have the HO scale circus layout. And if I had to pick one layout here which required the most work, I'd have to say this would be it, because this was originally a modular layout which was taken around to shows by the local train club, and unfortunately years of doing that wasn't good to it, because the way this layout is, it's just too fragile to be moved around all the time like that, and really where it is now is probably the most suitable place for it. But you can see that not everything here is 100% perfect, because like I said, a bit of damage has been done to this. You'll notice these white bits here all over. These are where things are supposed to be, and they're not, because I took all the loose bits off and put them in a box to put them back on at some point. But you've also got these attractions in the background. Not everything is here. Some of the stuff is still packed away in the car. Some of this stuff actually works, but unfortunately some of the motors are burnt out, which if you could find replacements, you could definitely do a motor swap and get some of these working again. But this layout, it just requires a lot of work to get everything put back together, and unfortunately a lot of man hours are going to be spent trying to do something like that. I did take the time to clean it up a little bit, got some of the loose bits off the layout, did put some stuff back together, and just within the last year also got a train running on this as well, which I think the way it is right now, it's at least presentable. As long as you got a train going and the place doesn't look like a mess, I think people are going to be able to come here and at least appreciate it for what it is. But it would be nice to get this back to its original state at some point. Now this is the N-scale log train layout, which would work if there was a locomotive to run on it. Unfortunately, the one that was on here, the motor burned out and they no longer manufacture them anymore. So definitely need a replacement. You can see the log cars are here, but yeah, sadly no locomotive. I did look into getting a replacement, but I think I was looking at a 460 locomotive, and I couldn't bring myself to pay $70 for something that I'm basically just going to donate to this layout and never use myself. But I do like the overall look of this. You can see you got the town. You've also got over this way sort of like some other buildings and sheds and such. I really like that log truck there. And you can also see it's just a simple loop layout. You got a bridge right there, runs around the town, and then sort of back into these hills and such. So yeah, it's a really nice little setup. Would be nice to also get sort of like a backdrop made, since this layout doesn't take up the entire cell. Just get like a cloud backdrop, cloud mountain backdrop put up right there, and maybe a little something over here to I'll hide these totes, because this is like storage in here. But yeah, I think really if could get a locomotive running on this N-scale layout again, it'd look really nice. So this is the Lego layout, and there's not a whole lot I can say about this. It's just a figure 8 of track built around some Lego buildings and sets. But one thing I do like about this, it's the older Lego train system that is track powered. It's not like the battery powered stuff that we have now. And probably one thing that would make this layout a little more interesting is to try and incorporate some more track, maybe some more trains, and build a more elaborate layout than just this figure 8 setup. But I did actually go out and get myself some Lego sets that I want to incorporate in here. Unfortunately, none of them are train related, but I think they'll definitely add some scenery to this layout. But if you can get some more trains and track to put here, I think that would definitely be a good start to making it, well, more eye-catching, I guess. But as it is right now, it is a fun little layout nonetheless. Now this is one of my favorite layouts here, and it's the HO Hogwarts layout, which a lot of what's on here has actually been scratch built. Things like the castle, Hagrid's hut, also I'm just going to call it the playing field right there. That was also custom built. And I think this is a really nice looking layout with all the trees. This uses Cauto track. And then another thing is you've also got some other stuff over here, like the Shrieking Shack. What is this little town right here? And I do also like this station as well. And something you might notice is that this has a different train on it. That's because this is actually a different Hogwarts Express. Originally this layout had the Bachmann HO Hogwarts Express on it, but that model was having issues. I think there was binding in the wheels and I just couldn't iron it out. So I talked with Bob and he said he was going to buy a new one, which I was expecting him just to get another Bachmann one, but instead he actually went out and bought the entire Hornby Hogwarts Express set. And I gotta say, this one definitely runs a lot better, and I do like the fact it also has tender pickups, which I think is something the Bachmann model was definitely missing. But one thing I will say is it would be nice to get probably a couple more coaches if possible to add to this consist. And then another thing about the Hornby one is you got the working headlight. Pretty much, I don't really think there's a whole lot that needs done with this layout any further, although I do notice for a while here there's supposed to be a weeping willow right there. That seems to be missing. Whether it was there before or not, I don't know, but definitely need to see about getting that back where it should be. But overall, you know, this is a really nice layout. I quite enjoy it, and it is nice to finally have a proper Hogwarts Express on here again that actually runs. And one of the last times I was here, I did fix the dead spot over by the castle there. Just had to solder some track together. Here we've got the O-gauge layout, which this is something I was working on the last time I was here. And I don't have Thomas running at the moment just because one thing I noticed is when he is running around, he makes so much noise that you can barely hear anything I'm saying. But this layout here, it does require a bit of work. There's a lot of things like crossing gates and lights and such, which need to be wired into the buttons up here to you know, get them functional. And I think there's also work that needs done over here in this yard. I believe need more of the proper track, because I think that hand card's supposed to have a track of its own that it'll run back and forth on. And I'm not sure these Lionel accessories here, you got the dairy car and the cattle car. I'm not sure if there's any plans to get those up and going again or not. But you can see I did take time, did some sweeping up because there was a bit of a mess here before, and it's a lot cleaner. Also took time and cleaned the tracks as well. There's the DeLorean that I dropped on the layout. That's actually been here for a few months now. Originally bought that for myself, but it was too big for anything I had, so I just dropped it here. But yeah, there's quite a bit of stuff that needs done to this layout, and if I just move up here, you can also see, I think there's supposed to be some more stuff in this area as well. You know, like these gates, or these lights, I guess, supposed to get those working. And there's a speaker right there, which I think is probably supposed to go along with those. So yeah, this is one of the layouts that still needs a bit of work, but it's something that's hopefully going to be taken care of within the next year or so. Now, one thing I am noticing some issues with is the G-scale loop. And this particular train here that runs around, I notice when it gets on the curves, it tends to slow down a bit. And I think some of that, A, has to do with the fact we're dealing with tighter curves. If I just step up here, you'll see what I'm talking about, I think. When the train goes around there, it begins slowing down. And you know, like I said, I think the curves are part of the problem, but also this is running off of a small starter set power supply, which, you know, this car here is like 70-some feet, and I believe the layout itself may be about 60 feet. And for a small starter set controller to be running that much power to this much track, especially for G-scale, I think that's really under what it needs to be for that. Another issue is the trolley track. Now, this is not run for a few months now, and I think the problem is this has an automatic reverser in it, which I think has failed, because it'll run in one direction, but it will not in the other. And I don't know, I'm not even sure if this track's on right now because this hasn't been running, but talked to somebody about that. I think they said they were going to take a look at it, see if they could figure out. Basically, the contacts for the automatic reverser must not be switching, which is why it won't travel down that direction. But that's something that would be nice to get fixed and working again. Last thing would be the HO layout, which basically spans the length of the car. And this needs a little bit of work. Most of it's pretty much done. Scenery seems to be the big thing. There needs to be some turf put down in places. Some of the tracks still need ballasted. And I think even some of the scenics like buildings and such probably could use a little bit of work. Functionality wise, it's not too bad. The second level where the freight train runs works. The third level where the passenger train runs works. Although this first level where you got this train here, it's non-functional at the moment. I think it has to do something with wiring. You'll notice this is a single track, and that's because there is reverse loops at both ends of this layout where the train will basically run and then turn around. And I think that requires relays and such to make that work right. But that's something that needs to be taken care of there to get that lower level working again. Then you'd basically have 3 trains running on this layout at one time. But the big thing was in the last year, taking the time to clean all the tracks. That was a big problem why there weren't trains running past couple years here, just because the tracks were so dirty. But overall, you know, I really like this HO layout here, and I quite enjoy bringing my own models here to run at times, because it's definitely something fun to do. So that is pretty much it. I've shown you all the layouts and talked a little bit about what the status is on them and what future plans are. And I've said it before, I really enjoy coming here to Doolittle Station, working on the layouts, running the trains, and it's really enjoyable, especially considering I can bring my own models to put on the layout, run them around, and it's just a fun thing to do. And like I said, I really do enjoy this. But I think that's going to be it for this video. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll definitely be making some more videos throughout this year of you know, what I do when I come here and work on the layouts and run trains and such. But anyways, that's going to be all for now. We'll see you guys in the next video.